Hey guys, I'm Alan, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk you guys through how I created my complexion look today. If you like this eye look, then I will link it below. It was the first video I ever filmed on my channel. But today is all about the skin. So for me, the most important part to any makeup routine is definitely a good base. And this is a routine that I found has been working really well for me recently. So I thought I would do a little video on how I get this look. I've got a really full coverage foundation on, but I've managed to keep it looking really dewy, really glowy, so that it's going to last all day long, but also that it's going to give me a really nice glow and not dry my skin out. So if you like this look, then keep on watching and you will see me go from my natural skin colour to this. So I've already prepped my brows off camera because I'm sure you know by now how to do your own brows, and I'm fully aware that this style of brow is not everyone's cup of tea, so I thought we would just skip straight to the fun stuff. So what I do every day without fail is prep my skin using the Urban Decay B6 Prep Spray. This has been a ride or die favourite of mine for a good 3-4 years now. So not only does this hydrate my skin, but it also minimises any redness, reduces any pores and prevents oil, so it is perfect for me because I've got great combination skin. So we're going to mist our face with this. I probably use far too much, but you know, there's nothing wrong with being a bit excessive when it comes to your makeup. So today I'm going to go in with my Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation. And I use a shade 5 in this. All Nighter Foundation is an amazing foundation. It is such a full coverage and it does not budge once it's on the skin. As you can tell, I'm coming to the end of the bottle already because I use this day in day out. I'm just going to put a couple of pumps on the back of a little mixing palette, and then the trick that I use to get this foundation to still have a really nice dewy finish, even though it's super matte, is to use something that's became a new addition to my makeup bag recently, and that is the Urban Decay Rehab Makeup Prep Hot Springs Hydrating Gel. This stuff on its own before makeup is amazing because you don't have to wait for it to sink in. Your skin just really absorbs it, and then you can put your foundation on top and it looks really flawless. But I like to mix a little bit of this in, and then we're going to just mix that together on my little palette here. So I've got like a pump of All Nighter and a little bit of my Hot Springs Gel, and we're going to just mix that together just until it looks like so. And because I don't want to waste any of my precious foundation, I'm going to use what's in the brush and just dot it on my face. So we obviously will use a little bit more than that. That was just what was left on the tip of my brush. I didn't want it to go to waste, and then we're going to start blending that out. You will find with the All Nighter, it does go on a little bit lighter than what it dries down to. I really like how it feels putting that foundation on with the gel inside it, because I just think it feels really hydrating. So I'm still going to get that full coverage, I'm still going to get a matte finish, but I'm going to have hydration for the rest of the day, and it will not look as yellow as this when it dries, don't worry. My foundation on, I really like the mixture of the All Nighter foundation with that Hot Springs gel, because I really like having a bit of hydration on my skin, just because I like a bit of a glow, and I think even with a matte foundation you still can make it really dewy. So now we're going to go in with concealer. Anyone who knows me knows this is my ride or die concealer, and that is Urban Decay's phenomenal Naked Skin Concealer. I use the shade Light Warm for this. I again have had this as a ride or die for so long, so it is my favourite concealer out there. I'm just going to probably use way too much just to highlight the under eyes, the face, just anywhere I want to highlight, and then I'm just going to blend that out with my, so that's really all blended out nicely. I think I want to take a little bit more just up the cheeks just to highlight there as well, so I'll just dot a little bit up. This is about 2 or 3 shades lighter than what my foundation is, but I like to use it to give my cheekbones a little bit of lift because I'm not one of those lucky ones that was born with a killer cheekbones, unfortunately. And we're just going to blend that out, taking anything up towards arch the brow if you need to. Once we're happy it's all blended in, yeah, that's us good to go. One of my top makeup obsessions, in fact it's probably the top makeup obsession, definitely have to be highlighter. We could do like a 3-hour long video of my favourite highlighters and we still wouldn't cover them all. But today I've picked one of 2 of 3 of my favourites. The ones that I kind of reach for most often. I'm all about layering the highlight. So I like to go in with a kind of base highlight just while everything's still damp, and I like to use it to set this whole area of my face with a highlighter so that I don't have to worry about applying some more highlight once I've powdered. The first highlight I'm going to go in with today is again one of my ride or die highlights, and that is the Urban Decay Afterglow highlight in the shade Sin. I've had this highlighter since it came out like nearly 2 years ago now, and it's only just started to hit pan. It's a beautiful white champagne gold, and I love it because the formula is just not cakey or cloggy at all, and it's really bright, so any highlighter I put on top of that is really going to stand out. I'm going to go in with my Anastasia highlight brush. I think it's the A23. It has rubbed off because it's been very well used since I first got it, and I'm going to just kind of start from the cheekbone and buff it on down to the apple of my cheeks, and then just take it up to the arch of my brows. I get asked all the time about my highlight and what highlighter I'm wearing, and the answer is always like 2 or 3, but I like to just make sure that I'm buffing this one in first in that kind of semicircle motion, just to start to define and lift the cheekbones before I add any other product. So I really like to set this area with highlight before I do any other makeup, just because I find that it means any other highlight later on is really going to pop. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set my under eyes, and for that I have no other favourite product than the Kat Von D Lock-It Transparent Setting Powder. This is my second one I've gone through since I started using this last year. It is definitely a lifesaver for me. I like to use it just to bake the under eyes and set the nose. So I'm not really one for like a full bake anymore. I used to love it to heavy bake, but I'm just going to kind of take it under my eyes with my Dior Beauty blender, and then just a little bit down the tips of the nose. I tend to get really oily down the nose, so that is the area that I tend to bake the heaviest. And I just like to make sure that I've got this nose baked as good as possible, so that I don't have to worry about any pesky foundation sliding off as the day goes on. So while I'm letting that nose and under eye area bake, I'm going to just quickly bronze my skin. For that, I'm using my Urban Decay Beach Bronzer in the shade Bronzed. This is my favourite bronzer. I think it's a really nice colour. It's perfect for me who fake tans, because I get a really nice olivey tone to it. And I'm going in with my Morphe R7 from the Rose Gold collection, and I'm going to just take that right under the cheeks. And I really like using a really big diffused blush for my bronzer. I don't want my bronzer to be a contour, so I don't want any brush that's too small. So bronzer done, so I'm going to just clean off that bake. This little Real Techniques brush is my favourite for just wiping away any excess powder. I'm going to just start with the under eyes and flick it away. Make sure you're patting any excess into the concealer, because you still want it to set. Baking alone isn't going to set a concealer, so make sure you're packing powder in and then sweeping away any excess. And I like to leave this bake on the tip of my nose for a little bit longer, just because there's nothing I hate more than my nose going oily as the day goes on. So this is my insurance policy to make sure that I'm not going to have to worry about any oil breakthrough. So I'm just going to go into some contouring now. A product that has recently become a favourite of mine is the Urban Decay Shapeshifter for contouring. You get your creams, you get your powders. I tend to stick more to the powder side, and I'm going to go in with this little bottom kind of really warm bronze shade mostly, but I like to mix a little bit of the more kind of cool tone one in, just so that it's not too warm a contour. I'm using a brush by Crown Brushes. It is super old. I don't know the name, I don't know the number. I've had it for about 4 or 5 years, but it is my favourite little brush for contouring with. So what I like to do to make sure my contour looks as natural as possible is avoid doing any sort of lines up and down the cheeks. I just think that's a total giveaway, and it looks like kind of tiger stripes, and we do not want that. So what I do is, again, just mix together my kind of warm contour powder mostly with a little bit of this more cool toned one. Always with this, because it's super pigmented, tap off the excess. And then I like to just start by getting my brush about here, just into the hollow of the cheek, and just flicking it up into where we put that bronzer and highlighter. And I think it's good to flick up because it kind of pushes it into the cheekbone, so you get a much more natural contour. And I like to make sure I've got little product as possible just down at the centre, so always start from the back and flick up, working your way forward, so by the time you get to the front of your cheekbone there's a lot less product on your brush, so you're not going to be left with a line here that you then have to figure out how to blend away. Just to shorten that forehead, I'll take a little bit down the side of the forehead too, because I have the world's biggest forehead. And now I'm going to finally wipe away all the white powder so that I can contour this nose. So for nose contour, I'm going to use a little hidden secret. My brush is this Inglot 7 FSS brush, so it's a kind of angled powder brush. I think it's actually for eyeshadow or for smoky liner, but I love using this to contour my nose with. For that, I like to go in with, again, the Shapeshifter palette, but this time I like to use the lighter of the two contours. And I go very light-handed. Like, I cannot stress to you that much. Very light-handed. I'm going to just take that right down the centre of my nose. So for that, I like to start right to where my nose meets my eyebrows and just bring it down. I don't really need to contour my nose too much. I just like to more define the end because I feel like it's too wide here. So I don't put too much tension to the top, just down to the centre. So right now, yeah, I've got two Go Faster stripes down my nose. Don't worry, we're going to blend that away. I know nose contour is a really personal thing for people, and people have got a lot of personal preferences on it. This is just how I like to do mine. But a top tip for this, if you want to make sure that your contour is blended away as well as possible, is use this lighter shade and mix a little bit in with the lighter of the two contour shades just to tone it down and make it a little bit less bright, and use that to blend out that contour in the nose. And that'll take away any harsh lines and really tone that down. Thank God. And then go in with that little Real Techniques brush that I used to wipe away my bake, but I'm not adding any extra powder, I'm just using that to blend away with what's left. So now that we've done our contour, I want to make sure that I'm going to do something to blend that contour and highlight together. One of my favourite products, again, that I've had for a long time is the Illamasqua Bronzing Duos in the shade Glint and Rehab. This, as you can see, has been very well loved because it is the perfect bronzy golden transition between your contour and your highlight. I honestly think it's so beautiful on the cheeks, and I use this day in day out. For this, I'm going to use my Zoeva 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek Brush because it's much softer and more diffused than that crown brush I was using for contouring. And I'm going to start off with the darker one, put a little bit of lighter one in, just mix them together, and then just take them up the cheeks between that contour and highlight. Take that right up onto the temples and just give it that really nice bronzed J.Lo look. So now we're going to go into my favourite bit, which is adding even more highlighter than we've put on already. If you don't like highlight, sorry. So I have got two ride or die highlights that I tend to reach for more than most. Both are by MAC. First one is the Extra Dimension Skinfinish in Oh Darling. This is the limited edition Christmas packaging from 2 years ago. I still have plenty left in mine because I bought multiples. But I do believe I think it's back out permanently anyway, so I won't have to worry about running out. As soon as I've heard it was permanent, I was like, let's use more and more. And then the next one is another Extra Dimension Skin Finish called Double Gleam, which is a white blinding gold. Beautiful. We'll start off again with that Anastasia brush, and we'll go in with Oh Darling. And we are going to just take that right up the cheeks. Before I add any highlight, I want to make sure that any powder I've added to my face is not going to discourage the highlighter from gripping. So I'm going to just mist the areas I want to highlight again with some more of that B6 spray. So just here, and then we're going to go back in with that Anastasia highlight brush and this MAC Oh Darling, and we're going to just take that kind of where we put this in, but maybe not as high up. And as you can see, this highlight is really popping. It is proper gold, gold, gold. It is one of my favourite highlights, and it's so weird because when I first bought this, I was like, no, it's not the one, and then it didn't get used for so long, and then one day I was like, let me just try this again, and I was like, where have I been hiding this? So me and Oh Darling were reunited. It's been love ever since. I'm going to take a little bit more on this brush, just down the tip of the nose, and a little bit just in the bridge. I don't like to take my nose highlight right the way down. I like to make it a kind of exclamation mark, just so that I shortens my nose and makes it look a little less bulbous. And then I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of this Double Gleam, which is your really intense white gold. Wait for this, you're going to die. So we'll just load our brush with that, and we're going to just pop that right here. So yeah, blend and highlight. And there we have it, a nice golden, white gold, champagne highlight. My skin is going to be popping. So before I set my face, I like to make sure that my contour is looking extra sharp. So I take a little bit more of my Kat Von D powder on the back of that sponge, and I'm just going to carve that out. So that's not the most attractive thing to be sitting with, but I find it makes a huge difference. It really gives my contour that 3D look. And then you can just take whatever's left in that brush just to buff out the edges here, so you've not got a contour or highlight stopping right in the centre of your face. And then just to make sure this is not going anywhere, I'm going to set this in place with my trusty Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys how good this stuff is. And I'm probably going to use way too much. Oh well. Makeup is locked down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off, pop on some eye makeup, some lipstick and some lashes, and I'll meet you right back here for the finished look. Okay, and as if by magic, my eyes, lashes and lips are done. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how I get this skin every day. This is definitely my go-to complexion routine because it lasts all day, but it gives me a nice glow. For me, matte is not the thing, so I love anything that's going to give me radiance and glow, but still last through the longest of days. Yeah, if you like this eye look and these lips, then you can refer back to my previous tutorial, which I'll link below. It was the first video I ever actually uploaded to YouTube, and it's all about getting this really nice spotlight eye using the Morphe JACLYN Hill palette. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn how to beat this face. Please leave any feedback or comments below. I will link all my social medias right here so you guys can give me a follow, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye!